This video is about, well, I don't know what it's about. It's called Netflix One, and apparently Netflix is trying to buy Warner Bros. So let's watch this and see what the fuck is going on.
Welcome back, everyone. Big surprise, Netflix just made the official announcement that they had won the bidding war for Warner Brothers, which includes DC, everything Warner Brothers owns.
Wait, so they actually did. I didn't know officially. I thought Warner Bros. Was making offers to different companies. I didn't know they were actually selling themselves right now. What the hell?
Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Harry Potter, hundreds of other big franchises. And what's happening now is they're beginning the process of hashing out the finer details of the deal and what the final merged companies are actually going to look like. You just have to imagine James Gunn waking up and logging into Twitter to find out what happened, like all the rest of us too, because he, George R. R. Martin,
Bro, you know how many movies and TV shows are gonna be on Netflix now? Holy shit, this is a big win. Maybe now I don't cancel my Netflix subscription after finishing Stranger Things.
Big stakeholders that are making these TV shows, these movies, weren't really part of the deal themselves, so they found out just like all the rest of us. They've already issued an official statement and they did a conference call explaining what they're going to do with HBO, like the linear channels, the actual places you go to watch these things, what's going to happen with the HBO Max streaming service, what's going to happen with the future.
Oh shit! I didn't even think about that. Because most of HBO just is DC. Oh no. Poor HBO Max.
Of all the TV shows, all the movies that Warner Brothers was already working on, like I said, James Gunn's DCU, all that stuff, because yes, it is included, it does affect it in a certain way, but
Wait, so Netflix owns Scooby-Doo now?
not in some of the ways that people are worried about. There are some good things and some bad things about this. But thankfully, Netflix did explain how they're going to treat the actual company, the combined companies. So,
You know, as hype as this is, it's, again, it's the same thing with Disney. Is showing a pretty large problem that we have in today's media landscape of monopolies. Because now Netflix is purchased Warner Brothers, one of the biggest movie companies. Disney has purchased everything Star Wars, everything Marvel, everything 20th Century Fox, which is like the second biggest movie company in the entire planet that Disney now owns. And so like we just keep monopolizing things, and I don't like where it's headed. I like there to be at least some competition, not just a competition between two companies.
we know what's happening with all the big TV shows, all the big movies that we're getting ready to watch and where we're going to watch them. That's really the big question, like how much are you going to have to pay to actually watch all the stuff that you were trying to watch before? Where are you going to wind up finding all that stuff? Obviously, this isn't going to change any of the things that I make weekly videos for. All those things are still happening, but what is going to change?
Well, if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, don't they just put Warner Brothers properties on Netflix then? Shouldn't it be that simple, like what they did with Disney Plus? Where they bought Hulu and now they have Hulu stuff on Disney Plus, and they bought 20th Century Fox, now they have 20th Century Fox stuff on Disney Plus? Shouldn't it be that simple?
Is the way you pay for streaming services and where you find certain things at certain different times in their life cycle. I know there's a ton of questions about whether or not anyone big is getting fired. There were a lot of questions about what's going to happen to James Gunn's DCU movies and TV shows if somebody else bought Warner Brothers and bought them. What's going to happen with all the Game of Thrones prequels? Don't worry, Netflix and the people who actually work at both of these companies have talked about this already, so we will explain what they just said.
Okay.
This is actually Netflix's official statement early this morning after they won the initial bid in the actual meetings to merge both companies, like the actual talks about who's getting fired, who's not getting fired, what it's going to look like, all just started. It reads, today, Netflix Inc. and Warner Brothers Discovery Inc. announced that they have entered into a definitive agreement under which Netflix will acquire Warner Brothers, meaning the actual buyout itself will start, including its film and television studios, HBO Max, and HBO.
Oh,
So a couple of
shit.
notes about how much they're actually paying for the company. It's going to wind up being about $82.7 billion. For instance, when Disney bought Fox, it was closer to about $72 billion, just to give you an idea.
Wait. So Netflix paid more for Warner Brothers than Disney paid for Fox? What the hell?
What do we have here?
Really expensive to buy an entire company into their entire film and TV library like this. Then they say the transaction is expected to actually close, like the deal is actually expected to close after the previously announced separation of WBD's Global Networks division, meaning their linear TV channels and all the Discovery part of the company, into a newly public traded company, which is now expected to be completed in Q3 2026, meaning that's when the actual deal to buy the company is going to be done. So the idea is that Netflix just wants the streaming business and the actual studios that are making TV shows and movies. They don't want the linear channels. So Warner Brothers is in the process of spinning all that stuff off into a separate company, which is going to happen next year. Netflix itself does not want to own actual physical linear TV channels. They just want the streaming stuff. Then they go on to mention all their big franchises.
Yeah.
This acquisition
Yeah, let HGTV and Discovery Channel go do whatever they want to do. It's, yeah, pretty simple. Let them have their own company for, television channels, like literally DirecTV channels. Let them have their own space. We don't, like, streaming, they don't need that. Like, they might put some of their shows on streaming, but they're not going to take their channels from them and be like, hey, you can't be on DirecTV anymore. Like, that'd be stupid.
brings together two pioneering entertainment businesses.
I mean, they're already
Netflix's
dying anyway.
innovation,
Let
global
them
reach and best-in-class streaming service.
It's sad to say, let them die together, I guess. But, again, we have this conversation every time. Streaming is kind of just turning into cable TV anyway, but more expensive, because now you have to pay for every channel. So it's like we're kind of coming full circle here, just in a more convenient way.
They really do have the best technology behind their actual streaming service, like the way you actually are able to watch stuff by logging onto the app. Where they're weaker is when it comes to actual content, the actual IP, which is one of the reasons why they want Warner Brothers so badly, because they have so much big IP that Netflix doesn't have access to right now. They go on to talk about combining Warner Brothers' century-long legacy of world-class storytelling, beloved franchises, shows, and movies such as The Big Bang Theory, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, The Wizard of Oz, and the DC Universe, like James Gunn's DCU, will join Netflix's extensive portfolio, including Wednesday, Money Heist, Bridgerton, Adolescence, Extraction, basically naming all their big franchises like Stranger Things, creating an extraordinary
13 Reasons Why, Outer Banks. Like, are we not going to talk about them? Those are two of the biggest Netflix shows of all time.
Entertainment offering for audiences worldwide. Then Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, said, our mission has always been to entertain the world by combining Warner Brothers' incredible library of shows and movies, from timeless classics like Casablanca, Citizen Kane, to favorites like Harry Potter and Friends, the Friends TV series, with our culture-defining titles like Stranger.
So that means Friends will be coming back to Netflix? That's kind of crazy. I know somebody who's going to be really happy about that.
Things, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Squid Game will be able to do
Who
that
runs
even
The
better.
Office? Or
Together,
who
we can give
created The
audiences more
Office?
of what they love
What
and
channel?
help define the next century of storytelling. There's a little more fluff about them saying how good this is going to be for everybody. Like, we don't need to read this entire statement. Most of it's just them saying this is going to be better for everybody. The reality is it's only going to be better for some people. We'll get into that in a second. There's a few more details about them combining HBO, HBO Max, and Warner Brothers content with Netflix, but then during the conference call, they actually got a little more clear about the details themselves. So we'll actually zoom enhance to that part of the actual talk. What they did is after they released this statement, they held a longer conference call where people were actually asking them, like, okay, what is this actually going to look like? What does this actually mean? What's going to happen to all the TV shows and movies that HBO Max was getting ready to release? Like all the DC movies, DC TV shows, Game of Thrones prequels, Harry Potter TV show, all that stuff. What's going to happen to the Supergirl movie, Clayface, the Batman
That
2
is
movie,
a
the
lot of
Man of
good
Tomorrow,
questions.
Superman 2 movie?
Interesting.
Yeah.
No.
One of the biggest fears people
Okay.
had if Netflix was going to buy Warner Brothers is if we would stop seeing theatrical releases for all these. Like, would they just release the
No.
Superman Man of Tomorrow movie for a week in theaters and then it would hit Netflix? So this is what Netflix said about that.
I mean, they
claim that
might,
they're going to
but-
continue theatrical releases for all of Warner Brothers movies that were already going to go to movie theaters, but what they're
Interesting.
not changing is what they were originally doing with Netflix original movies, like the Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man movie or the Frankenstein movie. Those were only in theaters for like a very short period before they hit Netflix. Probably the other
All right.
biggest thing, and this is actually a pretty big thing, is that Netflix is going to keep the HBO Max service and the app around while also periodically adding WB HBO content to Netflix. So like at a
Hold on.
so periodically adding WB
Holy shit. Wait, so does that mean... Does Warner Brothers own Cartoon Network and Crunchyroll? Or, I mean, that's under HBO Max. So does that mean that Crunchyroll and Cartoon Network content is coming to Netflix? Oh, and the Impractical Jokers and everything on True TV. This is actually really cool. Cause like then, oh no, but they might make Netflix more expensive. Fuck, man, like just do something good for us while not making it more expensive, please. I beg of you. Please.
HBO content to Netflix. So like at a certain point, you will see Game of Thrones on Netflix, but
That's
all
so
the
weird.
stuff like all the Game of Thrones prequels that they're making right now, all the DC TV shows, and that brand new Harry Potter TV show that they're getting ready to release in 2027, those will all still start airing on the HBO Max streaming service. So you'll still find all the same stuff in the same places. It's just that eventually you'll start seeing more of that stuff eventually also get added to Netflix, whereas before it would have taken way longer for them to put it on Netflix. Or in some cases, like Game of Thrones, for instance, I don't think they would have ever put that on Netflix had Netflix not
Well, I
bought
do like that, so I don't have to pay for damn HBO Max of all fucking things. I wonder if Euphoria is gonna come to Netflix. That would be crazy.
Warner Brothers.
It's
So
always
when we
been a
get to
Max
Night of the Seven
exclusive.
Kingdoms episodes in January, when I'm doing episode videos for that, they'll still air on HBO Max. And the House of the Dragon Season 3 episodes still gonna be on HBO Max. And like I said, the actual buyout deal won't finish closing until the end of next year when they finish spinning out all the linear TV channels to a completely separate company. Then after that, like early 2027, that's when you're going to hear about people getting fired if they're in duplicate roles at both companies. Like you do the same thing, one of you is getting fired. So a lot of people will definitely get fired in this
Yeah.
big move. But a lot of that kind of stuff you won't hear about till like early 2027. So at least for the next couple years, you're not really going to notice any big difference, only just a couple more things than usual being added also to Netflix that were already also on HBO Max. So if you're already paying for HBO Max, nothing's changing. If you're already paying for Netflix, nothing is really changing. You're just getting a little bit extra content. And then over time, what they'll probably try to do is just bundle the apps so that you get both of them around the world for a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, they're gonna do they're gonna do the Disney Plus route of Disney Plus plus Hulu plus ESPN, and then they're eventually gonna make HBO Max like they did to Hulu irrelevant, and they're gonna merge it into one. It's just gonna take a while, like it did with Disney Plus Hulu. To be fair, Disney Plus Hulu it wasn't around for that long. I feel like they had it bundled for like a couple years, and then they eventually just put everything on Disney Plus.
But the more important thing is that they're not getting rid of HBO Max or completely trying to combine HBO Max with Netflix. That was a bit of a surprise. I was assumed they were just going to try and absorb HBO Max, which
I just find it weird because sometimes Cartoon Network shows is on Hulu, but it's not on Disney Plus. So like I also heard recently that Hulu doesn't exist anymore. Like you can't pay for it. It's all on Disney Plus now. So now I'm confused, like where are the Cartoon Network shows? Like where are they?
apparently they're not doing. Most of the questions they were getting from people and most of Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix's talk, was about what was happening with Warner Brothers movies like Superman 2, Man of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Clayface, The Batman 2, all the really big stuff that they're working on. People are like, wait a minute, is this still going to be in theaters? Are you trying to kill theaters still?
No.
What he basically said is they weren't changing anything about the way that Warner Brothers releases movies. So all the movies that they were already making or planning on making, like James Gunn's DCU, will still be released in theaters the way they were originally going to do, normal theatrical window.
I think the big vid probably did unrepairable damage to movie theaters. They're bouncing back a little bit these days, but I don't think movie theaters will ever go away fully. Like even if all the big companies go to streaming and never look back to like releasing movies in the movie theaters, there's still going to be smaller companies that come out and fill that void. Like
Then they'll eventually hit HBO Max. Then they'll eventually hit Netflix, probably a little bit faster on Netflix. But also, Netflix isn't changing the way they do things with Netflix original movies or Netflix original TV shows. Like Stranger Things is a good example. They wouldn't suddenly change the way they release Stranger Things, or they wouldn't change the way they release the Netflix original movies like Frankenstein or the Knives Out Wake Up Dead Man movie. Those are still only in theaters for like a week, then they hit Netflix way faster. This is basically Netflix saying that the way things work at both companies isn't going to change.
Yo, James Gunn.
Oh, hi, Zack Snyder.
Just saw your new cut of Superman, and word of advice?
Next really big question, people asking what's going to happen to James Gunn's DCU. Well,
what the
Advice?
next really big question.
what is that? Bro's got the Will Byers cut.
People asking what's going to happen to James Gunn's DCU. Well, Netflix basically said that they're not going to mess with any of his plans. So James Gunn, Peter Safran are staying at the head of DCU. They're not going to change their plan for what DC Chapter 1 is going to be. The movies, the TV shows they were planning on making, all still going to make the same ones. Netflix isn't going to mess with what they're making, when they're making. Like, they're not going to go and tell them, oh, you have to release Batman Brave and the Bold next year or else. They're going to do whatever they want to do, and Netflix is going to let that happen. A lot of people had been asking the last couple of years, what if Netflix bought DC? Would they bring the Snyderverse back? Would Zack Snyder come back? That's also not going to happen. James Gunn and Zack Snyder are already really good friends, and James Gunn said he would already love to do something at DC with Zack Snyder, so it's kind of an open door policy. So if Zack Snyder ever wanted to do some sort of DC project, a movie or a TV show going forward, James Gunn would be happy to do it with him. There's a lot of stuff that I think would work better for Zack Snyder's oeuvre, like the Absolute Universe would be something that he could work in an Elseworld.
Bro, Superman with long hair looks so fucking weird. What the hell? I've never seen that in my life. He kind of looks cool though, but like in an emo way.
Situation. Generally, it should be said that merging of big companies like this usually winds up being bad long term, like consolidation is not a good thing long term, but it's less bad than it could have been. Like, it could have been way, way worse. Everybody post all your
Yeah, they
reactions.
could have just shut down everything Warner Bros. Was doing and say, we don't like that, and that's why we bought you. We bought you so we could use your IPs and shut down our competition. Like, they could have done that, but why would you do that? Like, there's a fuck ton of stuff that they're coming out with that you can make a lot of money on that. You could make a big return on your investment there.
In the comments below. I'm sure there's going to be a billion questions about this.
Not even in terms of just business, but like also morally. Like, why would they do that? That would be wrong.
The next couple of years, I'll try to answer everything in the comments. We have a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like right now. You have to remember it's still early days, so it's going to be a couple years before you really start to notice a difference. And what you really notice is there's just more Warner Brothers stuff on Netflix than there was.
Like, actually, now that I think about it, that's kind of what Disney did with Star Wars. They bought Star Wars and shut down everything that was happening with Star Wars. Especially the main things, like The Force Unleashed. Star Wars Battlefront 3 was supposed to happen back in the day. It never happened because Disney bought it. They made everything Legends except for like the Clone Wars and the movies. Everything else was fake according to Disney. And they also shut down the Clone Wars to make Rebels. It was weird. It was a weird time.
Before. That's really going to be the only change. Mostly I'm happy to hear that they're still releasing all the big movies in movie theaters the normal way. That was the thing most people were worried about. And even though James Gunn, George R. Martin, these really big guys weren't part of the actual deal themselves, there was a post a little while ago that James Gunn made recently, and I think he was trying to tell everyone that he had a pretty good sense that everything was going to be fine long term.
Yeah.
Generally just seems like he wasn't that worried going into this big deal. Currently, we are also in the middle of CCXP, so it's a bit of a trailer fest. All the big studios are releasing a couple big things. We're supposed to get the first Avengers Doomsday trailer next week. We're supposed to get a new Supergirl trailer next week, The Boys Season 5 trailer. I will do videos for all the big trailers that do get released, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Everybody click here and here for all of those. I'll add the new videos to my playlist as I post them. Thank you so much for watching.
Well, now we're just waiting for Amazon to fucking buy Paramount to make 3 monopolies. That's what we're doing here. Anyways, chat, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope Paramount gets to be its own thing. And then somebody's gonna have to buy Sony. Anyways, hopefully none of those things happen, and hopefully this is like one of the last big deals that we see like this. Because the monopolies are kind of getting a little scary because they can price their streaming services however they want because they own a lot of stuff now. The more stuff they own, the more that they feel like they can charge you more for a service. So no matter how cool it is to already have Netflix and see a bunch of extra content coming to it, you gotta remember they might up the price. Hopefully I'm wrong, but Netflix and Disney Plus's prices have been going up for years. And Disney Plus, they straight up lied when they created their service. Straight up fucking lied. They said it would never go above $5 a month. It's now like 20 or something like that. Like, now it's ridiculous. They literally promised it would never go above $5, and then it immediately did. And, anyways, like and subscribe. Hype the video. Yeah, I'll see y'all later.